It could be a trick of the light, a strange coincidence, or a sign of something far more profound. There exist locations where whispers of alternate dimensions, unexplained phenomena, and mind-bending illusions collide. Get ready for a journey that will send chills down your spine as we attempt to unravel the secrets of these places, where reality itself seems to fray at the edges.
The Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is the mecca when it comes to mysterious disappearances and rumors and urban legends, so of course it had to make it onto this list. The triangle, which sits in between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, earned its deadly reputation starting back in the 1970s. Since then, there has been about 80 aircrafts and 60 boats that have gone missing in the triangle, which only fueled rumors that there was some sort of force or supernatural cause that was making this area one where people would often go missing. There have been intense electrical forces and tunnel-like clouds reported in the triangle, which some believe is the cause for the disappearances, some others believe it's weather patterns, some believe it's the entrance to a parallel universe or a place where aliens like to abduct their victims, and some people like to dismiss the idea that there's any sort of mystery at all. At this point, exactly what is going on with the Bermuda Triangle remains a mystery. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Oregon Vortex. Just off of Interstate 5 in southern Oregon lies what is called the Oregon Vortex. According to local legend, it is said that this area and the strange and mysterious stories surrounding it aren't just modern legends, but that perhaps it stems back further. People have said that the stories of the Oregon Vortex actually stem back to when indigenous Americans referred to it as the Forbidden Land. It is said that during these times, people traveling on horses would often find that their horses would be refusing to go into the area, so clearly something strange was going on in there that was spooking the animals. Scientists have speculated that the land might contain some kind of crossed magnetic lines that produce some sort of force field, but whatever it really is, the place is truly strange. Things appear very differently here. It's sort of like an optical illusion. The area is basically a parallel universe in itself. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Challenger Deep. The Challenger Deep is the deepest known point in our ocean, around 10,900 meters deep. It is located in the Pacific Ocean in the southern part of the Mariana Trench, and because of its location, lack of light, and immense pressure, it hasn't been explored very much. The extreme environment has certainly set up for there to be a whole host of species that we know absolutely nothing about, but it is not an area that can be easily explored by humans. The Challenger Deep has only been visited 4 times and only for short periods of time, so there is so much more that is waiting to be uncovered at this deep, dark part of our ocean, and I don't know about you, but I feel like there are insane amounts of ocean creatures that could fully be aliens. They are so strange and interesting and unique, so who in the world knows what really lurks down there. In our number 7 spot today, we have Point Nemo. I'm sure there's a few of us out there who dream of time alone, away from other people, and Point Nemo is exactly that. It's like a parallel universe where if you were to visit, you'd feel like you were the only person on Earth. This is the most remote location on Earth. It's officially known as the oceanic hole of inaccessibility because it is the furthest point away from land. This area is surrounded by more than 1,000 miles of ocean in every direction. There are obviously no humans who live even close to Point Nemo, which is why it is called that in the first place, Nemo being Latin for no one. This location is so isolated that the closest people to Nemo aren't even on this Earth. Since the inhabited areas closest to the point is over 1,000 miles away, the humans aboard the ISS are way closer than anyone on land. Truly just wild. Kind of sounds like a dream, kind of sounds like a nightmare. In our number 6 spot today, we have Kawae Jen. Located in Indonesia, this is one of the most remarkable and interesting places on Earth. Firstly, this active volcano emits hot, flammable sulfurous gases. These gases ignite as they enter the oxygen-rich atmosphere of Earth, and this causes them to burn with a stunning blue flame. Further scientific processes also allows for there to be a flow of molten sulfur that also has that same striking blue flame. At night is really when you get quite a show from this coloring, as it quite literally looks like a flow of blue lava. The other incredible thing about this location is that there is a 1-kilometer wide caldera that is filled with turquoise blue water. The watercolor, while it looks gorgeous, is a result of extreme acidity as well as a high concentration of dissolved metals. It is an astonishing place to look at and really is quite magnificent. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Devil's Kettle. This area is said to hold one of Minnesota's greatest mysteries. As the Brule River flows through in order to make its way toward Lake Superior, Superior, there is a point where it makes an 800-foot drop in 8 miles. Because of this journey through time, waterfalls have been created as the water erodes the rocky terrain. One waterfall in particular is the one that we want to talk about today. The stream splits into two as it falls over the edge. One of the two streams flows exactly how you would think it does, while the other is a little more mysterious. On this side, the water rushes into a cavern that seems to go nowhere. The cavern never fills up somehow, but no one can figure out where the water is going. It's a strange phenomena that has resulted in the fall gaining the nickname the Devil's Kettle. It is said that people have tried to place things in the water that might help show them where the water is flowing to, but despite these efforts, the items were just never seen again. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Pyramids of Giza. One of the most mysterious places on Earth has to be the Pyramids of Giza. I mean, how? For centuries, people have wondered and tried to find answers as to how they were built at all, let alone with limited resources and without the use of modern technology. And they've been around for the last 4,000 years, so the durability alone is outstanding. This alone is the source of much mystery, but that's only the outside of them. What lies on the inside might just be even more so. The Pyramids of Giza, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, were believed to have been built as tombs for rulers and other wealthy people. That totally makes sense, except for the fact that there hasn't been any mummies found inside of them. Instead, there is just a plethora of secret, unexplored rooms, hidden doors and mirrors, you know, just regular ancient Egypt stuff. Many of these secret rooms remain completely unexplored over fear of damage. One more strange thing about these incredible creations, before we move on though, they were built on the center of the Earth. However they did this, they aligned them perfectly with Orion's belt, with no technology, just pure brilliance. I'm just saying, if anywhere is going to take you to a parallel universe, these pyramids will take you back in time to a completely different world. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Crooked Forest. Forests are already creepy. This one looks like it's straight out of a Tim Burton film. The Crooked Forest in Poland. There's around 400 odd-shaped pine trees near the town Gryfino. These trees are about 90 years old, and all of them, from the base, they immediately bend towards the north and then slowly curve back towards the sky like the other trees. Despite the odd bend, these trees are otherwise healthy. There's been so many theories, but none of them really stick. Some suggest it was a gravitational anomaly, but that's a little too far-fetched for me. I don't know. This isn't Interstellar, right? Other theories claim that there were heavy snowfalls that would weigh down the branches, which could check out, but why is it just a select amount? I've also lived in Canada my entire life. We have lots of snow, and I've never seen a Sleepy Hollow tree before. My favorite theory is that farmers were trying to make the tree curved on purpose to make stronger wheels, because the grain direction would make for naturally curved wheels. Again though, nobody knows for sure. What are your thoughts? Do we like the wheel theory? I'm just gonna keep a spare tree tire just in case. Keep it stored safely in the trunk. Okay, jokes. I'm funny. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Catatumbo River. Basically, in western Venezuela, right over the Catatumbo River, there are these insane, intense lightning storms, and it's a complete atmospheric phenomenon. This lightning occurs 140 to 160 nights a year, 9 hours per day, and from 16 to 40 times per minute. That is absolutely insane. That is so much lightning. Another thing that's so fascinating about this lightning is that it is colorful, and it doesn't produce any thunder. The lightning does change its frequency up from time to time, and at one point it stopped for a few weeks, and people thought that maybe it was going to have been exhausted forever, but that changed when the lightning came back, putting it right back on our list of mysteries that we just can't quite figure out. Many people have studied the lightning, trying to figure out how exactly it has been created and what makes this phenomena what it is, but we just aren't quite sure yet. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the Reverse Waterfall. This mysterious and strange location is another one that comes from India. Here there is a waterfall, but it's got a catch. While we all of course expect to see water cascading down when we think of a waterfall, this strange location instead sees the water moving towards the sky. Some people believe it's because of some anti-gravitational force, others think it's due to the heavy air pressure, and I'm not a scientist, so I'll let you decide. While this is certainly quite a strange place, it also definitely delivers when it comes to beauty. I think even if the water flowed down like a normal waterfall, this area would still see a lot of tourists just because of the immense natural beauty.
Have the Upside Down from Stranger Things. This show has become one of the biggest hits since everyone has started to switch over to streaming services. 80s nostalgia blast with a bunch of kids playing Dungeons & Dragons and falling in love and trying not to get murdered in the process. This show is also home to the Upside Down, a parallel to our own universe where everything is trying to kill you. If you haven't watched the show Stranger Things, I'm going to put a spoiler warning right here. Actually, there's going to be a spoiler warning on this whole video because we are talking about a lot of film and television stuff, so spoilers for the whole video. You have been warned. The Upside Down is a dark, monster-filled reality that was accessed by a psychic girl named 13, connecting to a monstrosity from that realm known as the Demogorgon. Her connection with this creature opened a rift through the two worlds, which allowed the creature to escape into our world. The creatures from the Upside Down are nearly unkillable, and some of the most powerful ones even have the ability to possess people. Oh, and I forgot to mention they will eat you given the opportunity. At number 9, we have The Matrix. Take the blue pill or the red pill. See the world as it actually is, or stay asleep. The Matrix has one of the best representations of alternate reality. It's not exactly a parallel universe, but it kind of is, and it's very cool, so I wanted to include it. In the Matrix, the machines have taken over the world and farm humans like cattle that are locked away in these jelly pods. Why do they do this? Energy. Humans are essentially batteries for the robots, and to keep the humans in a sleep-like state and make them easier to harvest, the machines make a reality that every human is plugged into. The Matrix. The Matrix keeps humans docile, but some realize that they are living a lie and are able to wake up. It's the original "are we living in a simulation" idea. It was way ahead of its time, and it changed action movies forever. At number 8, we have the SpiderVerse. Oh yeah, baby, one of the best movies of 2018. For a very long time, Marvel has utilized the idea of the multiverse in their comics, TV shows, and movies, and the SpiderVerse brings it all together in one of the most amazing ways. A Spider-Man from one universe gets launched into another universe and then is forced to save the day from alternate versions of several villains. Then he teams up with more alternate versions of Spider People, let's be inclusive, and it's one of the most awesome gatherings of superheroes ever. The scary part about this is the fact that all these parallel universes have a new batch of villains. Every universe has a different Doc Ock, Sandman, Goblin, all of them, and then again and again and again and again and again. At number 7, we have Imagination Land South Park. You know, if it's South Park, there has to be something twisted and hilarious going on. In the 11th season of South Park, a few of the boys end up in Imagination Land, where all the wonderful ideas are born. But then Imagination Land gets invaded by Islamic terrorists, who blow up the wall between the good side and evil side of Imagination Land. This then starts an all-out war where it's everything good and everything evil all pointed at each other to kill each other. At one point, you have Jesus Christ mowing down monsters with an assault rifle. South Park never disappoints me. So half of Imagination Land isn't scary at all, and the other half is literally everything that has ever been scary. Oh, and I forgot to mention the part where the US government gets help from Freddy Krueger to save Imagination Land. This is truly a masterpiece. At number 6, we have the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Dinosaur Universe. Some of you may not know this, but there was a live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie made in the 90s. The reason you don't know about this is because it was one of the worst movies ever made. The film literally has nothing to do with the games. In the film, the meteor that killed the dinosaurs didn't kill them. It knocked them into another dimension where everything is gross and weird and storylines are horrible. The movie makes about as much sense as Cat Dog. P.S. I love that show. The dino world has strange tech, weird dinosaur monsters, and the worst fashion sense I have ever seen. I mostly included it on this list because it's so bad it's scary. At number 5, we have Earth 3. In the world of DC Comics, there is the Justice League, a team of the greatest superheroes. Parallel to them from Earth 3 is the Crime Syndicate, but they have evil brewing deep inside them like a musty fart after you've had too much hot sauce on your burrito. There's the Grid, who is the evil version of Cyborg. There's Deathstorm, who's the evil version of Firestorm. Johnny Quick, evil version of the Flash. Power Ring, evil version of Green Lantern. Sea King, evil version of Aquaman. Owlman, evil version of Batman. And finally, we have Superwoman and Ultraman being the evil versions of Superman and Wonder Woman. All of these villains operate with the same powers as the heroes with some minor changes. Like Ultraman has no weakness to kryptonite. He actually uses kryptonite to power himself, and he has a weakness to sunlight. Power Ring constantly demoralizes him, and Superwoman has a lasso of submission instead of a lasso of truth. Hot. There is so much more to cover about these guys, but we only have so much time in this video. Also, Earth 3 isn't just where the Crime Syndicate comes from, but all the evil in the DC multiverse. Well, at least in the New 52. I know all you comic book nerds can destroy me on this. Please, spare me your wrath. At number 4, we have Marvel Zombie World. So it's superheroes, but they're zombies. They still have all their powers, but they also have an endless urge to eat human flesh. So there's the Hulk, but you don't want to see him when he's hungry. This sounds like the worst possible thing that could ever happen. So here's what happens. The hero Sentry arrives on Earth carrying a zombie virus, but he's a Sentry from another dimension. He starts to infect all the heroes, and the heroes start to eat everything. While they're satisfied, they don't have an endless urge to eat, but while they're hungry, they can't control themselves at all, so much so that Peter Parker eventually eats Mary Jane and Aunt May. Eventually, Silver Surfer comes to sort things out, and they eat him too. This gives some of the zombies the power cosmic. Then Galactus comes, and they eat him too, then fashion his armor into weapons for themselves. Then some of the heroes fly to other planets and start eating all the people there. I won't tell you how it ends, but a lot of people get eaten. At number 3, we have Old Man Logan. This is one of the darkest alternate realities from the Marvel Universe. Basically, the heroes lose, some of them in horrible ways. Like when Mysterio pulls an illusion over Wolverine, so he thinks he's killing villains, but he ends up killing a bunch of X-Men allies. Ant-Man dies, and there's a massive highway built through his skeleton corpse that just sits out in the open. And Hulk and She-Hulk have a bunch of Hulk kids and then send them out to extort money from people. And yes, Hulk and She-Hulk are related. This is very gross. I don't want to spoil too much for you about this comic, because if you haven't read it, it's amazing. You should definitely go pick it up. But if you do, make sure you're over 18 and prepare for some disturbing storylines. At number 2, we have the movie VHS with the Monster Universe. This movie is literally called VHS. It's one of my favorite horror series. It's a pretty simple concept. In this particular vignette, a man named Alfonso develops a portal to another world, a universe at first glance that seems to mirror our own. Alfonso encounters a parallel version of himself, and the two trade sides to explore the other universe. This is where it starts to get weird. He travels through the house and finds a parallel version of his wife, who looks the same but is dressed a little seductively in a silk robe. She doesn't know that this is the Alfonso from the alternate universe. She then introduces him to two men who are over. Maybe in this universe everyone's a swinger, I don't know. The four of them walk into the living room where it seems like some strange satanic rituals going on. There's a bag of meat hanging on a hook, and on the television there's a person being burned alive on a cross. He should have stayed in Kansas. It turns out that this is some sort of sexual ritual, and all the people in this universe have monsters for genitals. The guys that were with his wife revealed that they have these long, slimy, bearded, Venus flytrap looking penises that are like huge, and the women have these vaginas that can literally eat your face. Yeah, terrible place to vacation. And for our number 1 spot, we have Otherworld in Silent Hill. One of the best horror franchises in gaming history. Silent Hill's probably given more teens nightmares than a salvia trip. If you're unfamiliar with Silent Hill, it's the series of games that take place in a little town with the same title. For the most part, Silent Hill's a quaint, slightly unsettling area. But that all changes when you cross over to Otherworld. It's uncertain exactly what it is. Some people think that it's purgatory, while other people think it's a corrupt force that looms over an area. It doesn't matter. Once you're there, everything you fear, all your deepest, darkest regrets will manifest themselves into horrible things and hunt you down.
The Pyramids of Giza. One of the most mysterious places on Earth has to be the Pyramids of Giza. I mean, just how? For centuries, people have wondered and tried to find answers as to how they were built at all, let alone with limited resources and without the use of modern technology. And they've been around for the last 4,000 years, so the durability alone is outstanding. This alone is the source of much mystery, but that's only the outside of it. What lies on the inside might just be even more so. The Pyramids of Giza, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, were believed to have been built as tombs for rulers and other wealthy people. That totally makes sense, except for the fact that there hasn't been any mummies found inside of them. Instead, there's just a plethora of secret, unexplored rooms, hidden doors, and mirrors, you know, just regular ancient Egypt stuff. Many of these secret rooms remain completely unexplored over fear of damage. One more strange thing about these incredible creations before we move on though, they were built on the center of the Earth. However they did this, they aligned them perfectly with Orion's belt, with no technology, just pure brilliance. I'm just saying, if anywhere is gonna take you to a parallel universe, these pyramids will take you back in time to a completely different world. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Challenger Deep. The Challenger Deep is the deepest known point in our ocean, around 10,900 meters deep. It is located in the Pacific Ocean in the southern part of the Mariana Trench, and because of its location, lack of light, and immense pressure, it hasn't been explored very much. The extreme environment has certainly set up for there to be a whole host of species that we know absolutely nothing about, but it is not an area that can be easily explored by humans. The Challenger Deep has only been visited 4 times and only for short periods of time, so there is so much more that is waiting to be uncovered at this deep, dark part of our ocean. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there are insane amounts of ocean creatures that could fully be aliens. They're so strange and interesting and unique, so who in the world knows what really lurks down there. In our number 8 spot today we have the SEMA Humbolt. SEMA Humbolt is a huge sinkhole that is located in Venezuela. Sinkholes are certainly very interesting, but not necessarily never before seen, so you might be wondering what's going on with this one that makes it necessary to put on this list. Well, firstly, it's huge. Its volume is around 18 million meters cubed. The second reason is because of its location. This sinkhole is located on a tepu, which is like a tabletop mountain, and this sinkhole is located on the only forested tepu. And finally, because of its size, the SEMA Humboldt features its own ecosystem located at the bottom where many new plants and animal species have been discovered. Apparently, locals of the area believe the sinkhole is actually a place of evil, so while it looks very cool and actually quite beautiful, maybe something scarier is lurking around, or maybe they're just sensing some sort of otherworldly presence. In our number 7 spot today we have Kryptos. Okay, so this is more of like a sculpture, I guess, but it's a mysterious one. So the legend behind this one is a conspiracy theorist's dream. Kryptos was made for the CIA headquarters, and it was finished on the day the Berlin Wall began to fall, and it was unveiled in 1990. The 3.5 meter high sculpture consists of 4 encrypted messages. 3 of these messages have since been deciphered, but the 4th continues to be one of the most mysterious unsolved codes in the world. Both professional and amateur crypto analysts have tried to decipher the code, but despite the 4 clues given from the artist, no one has cracked it yet. I am absolutely dying to know what the message behind it could be. In our number 6 spot today we have Lake Vostok. Many of us have heard of Atlantis, but have you heard of Lake Vostok? There's probably no underwater city, so maybe that was a bit of an exaggeration, but it's still so unbelievable. This lake is located in Antarctica, and it is so huge it's one of the largest lakes in the entire world. The lake not only has a large surface area, but it's also very deep, which only adds to the volume of the lake. Here's the thing about it though, it is covered by ice, and not just any ice, but the East Antarctic ice sheet, which is the largest ice sheet in the world. This subglacial lake has ice so thick that we don't really know a lot about what lies beneath it, and the ice has been there for millions of years. When the first samples of the actual lake water were taken, it became apparent that there may be species in the lake that we know absolutely nothing about. It could just be like an entirely different world below this ice sheet, and we have no idea at all. In our number 5 spot today we have the Oregon Vortex. Just off of Interstate 5 in southern Oregon lies what is called the Oregon Vortex. According to local legend, it is said that this area and the strange and mysterious stories surrounding it aren't just modern legends, but perhaps they stem further back. People have said that the stories of the Oregon Vortex actually stems back to when indigenous Americans referred to it as the Forbidden Land. It is said that during these times, people traveling on horses would often find their horses refusing to go into the area, so clearly something strange was going on there that was spooking these animals right out. Scientists have speculated that the land might contain some kind of crossed magnetic lines that produce some sort of a force field, but basically whatever it really is, this place truly is strange. Things appear very differently here. It's sort of like everything is an optical illusion. The area is basically just a parallel universe in itself. In our number 4 spot today we have Bran Castle. This is a castle that is located in Transylvania, and it is often known as Dracula's castle. This Romanian landmark is commonly referred to as the home of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and honestly, what could be more terrifying than Dracula? Well, maybe the real person he is said to be inspired by, Vlad the Impaler, who is also said to have some sort of association with this castle. The building features beautiful, articulate designs and vast staircases, but it is also said to be the home to the supernatural. Maybe it's just the lore and the legends surrounding this piece of historical architecture, or maybe there really is something more sinister going on here. In our number 3 spot today we have the Moville Cave. This cave is located in Romania, just a few kilometers from the coast of the Black Sea, and it was first discovered in 1980 1986. This cave has been isolated from the outside world for millions of years, and basically everything that goes on inside of it is different than what we are used to. The cave life is not based on photosynthesis and rather chemosynthesis. The level of oxygen in the cave is around a third of what is normally found in the atmosphere, and of the 48 species found in the cave, 33 of them were endemic, meaning they can't be found anywhere else on Earth. This cave looks absolutely terrifying, but it is clear that it holds an entirely different world inside of its walls. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Paris Catacombs. The catacombs in Paris are some of the most famous in the world. This is a place that holds the remains of more than 6 million people, and it's also the source of an insane amount of urban spooky legends. This ossuary was created originally in an effort to eliminate the overflowing of the city's cemeteries. To be honest, this place, after being built, was mostly forgotten about, but during the 19th century it became sort of like a novelty place for concerts and private events, which is certainly macabre. After some renovations and construction, they became open to the public in 1874, and since then they have been the source of much mystery. These catacombs are expansive, with most of them being blocked off to the public, which begs the question, why? In 2009, there is said to have been a video camera discovered inside the catacombs with footage that showed an unidentified man dropping the camera in fear of something that's also unidentified before running away into complete darkness. I'm just saying, although the catacombs see a ton of visitors every year, I'm not convinced that we know all of what's going on down there. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is the mecca when it comes to mysterious disappearances and rumors and urban legends, so of course it had to make it onto this list today. The Triangle, which sits in between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, earned a deadly reputation starting back in the 1970s. Since then, there has been about 80 aircrafts and 60 boats that have gone missing in the Triangle, which only fueled rumors that there was some sort of force or supernatural cause that was making this area one where people would often go missing. There have been intense electrical forces and tunnel-like clouds reported in the Triangle, which some believe may be the cause of the disappearances, some others believe it's weather patterns, some believe it's the entrance to a parallel universe, or some believe it's a place where aliens like to abduct their victims, and some just like to dismiss the idea that there's any sort of mystery at all. At this point, exactly what is going on in the Bermuda Triangle remains very much a mystery.
With more than 750 miles of trail, Yosemite National Park is a vast unspoiled wilderness, making it a hiker's dream. But if someone disappears, sending a search team is a nightmare. Now at the moment there are 13 people still missing there, the disappearances ranging from 1972 to 2021. Now one disappearance is the case of Michael Fiercy. He was an outdoorsman, so why did he get lost and never be found? We don't know. In 2005 he decided to hike solo through Yosemite National Park. He had once cracked an ankle at Yellowstone, having to crawl all the way out of the wilderness, so when the outdoorsman failed to return from his adventure after his permit expired and his family expected him home, they feared the worst. Now the search for Fiercy was so massive that the United States Marines were involved. They found one thing belonged to him, his backpack. Now it contained his map, water, and camera. Now his friends and family were even more concerned at this point because they believed that Fiercy would never willingly leave his bag at any time during a hike. Now unfortunately, in the 16 years that have passed, not another trace of Fiercy has been found. With someone so experienced, I find this disappearance to be suspicious. Number 9. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Dennis Martin was on a camping trip at Great Smoky Mountains National Park with his family in the summer of 1969. Dennis and his brothers had planned a prank. They were going to hide separately in the bush and jump out on different sides of the campsite to scare their fathers. They did the prank, but they realized that Dennis was missing. Family, park rangers, and other hikers spread out to search for Dennis almost immediately, but he was nowhere to be found. That evening there was heavy rainfall, which is bad news when you're trying to track someone. The search for Dennis became the largest in National Park Service history. Dennis seemed to have disappeared completely, leaving no trace at all. Now people's disappearances at national parks have prompted people to question how a map of missing persons in the US lines up with America's largest cave systems. Are these people disappearing and being taken to these caves by cave people, animals, or some sort of creature? And are the caves portals to parallel universes? Who knows? Number 8. San Bernardino National Forest. David Gonzalez went camping with his family in San Bernardino National Forest. At one point, he asked his mother if he could go get some cookies from the family car, but 40 minutes passed and his mother realized that David never returned, and the cookies he wanted to grab were still inside the car. Now, he was never found alive again. His death is viewed as one of the strange disappearances in national parks. A week after missing, his badly decomposed body was found only a mile away from where he went missing. Now, this area was already combed days prior, so this means that he must have been dropped there by someone or something. An autopsy revealed no trauma and no overt injury. He was just dead without any reason or clue as to why. Now, this is already baffling, but what makes the case of David so strange is not his disappearance alone, it's the way the local authorities and investigators seem to handle the case. The officials claim that David was dragged off by a mountain lion, despite no injuries that would suggest that be his fate. Nobody nearby heard David scream either. Now, David's parents had gone on record to say that they don't believe David got dragged off by a cougar. They believe that he was kidnapped and that he still may be alive somewhere and that the body wasn't his. Now, is this sounding exactly like Stranger Things to anyone else? Maybe he got sucked into the Upside Down with Will and is fighting against a Demogorgon. Number 7. Grand Canyon National Park. At least 56 people have been reported missing from Grand Canyon National Park since the beginning of 2018, and at least 6 people have been found dead. Now, this is despite the park not only being smaller, but seeing millions fewer visitors than many of the other 424 national park sites. While the park is beautiful, a New York Post investigation recently found it is also the deadliest national park in the country, with the most number of missing persons in the nation. On June 2nd, 2015, Morgenheimer was working for Tour West, a commercial rafting company, and he was a guide for an 8-day rafting trip along the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. While standing near a cliff, Morgan spoke with the lead rafting guide and mentioned something about taking some time off that afternoon. The lead guide was pulled away by a client during this conversation and walked away from the cliff to speak with them. When the guide looked back to the direction that Morgan was standing, he was gone. Now, the guide just assumed that Morgan had taken a break and would be back, but Morgan was never seen again. During the afternoon and into the evening, Morgan never showed up for the group's activities. A member of the group then reported Morgan missing that same day. Park rangers and search and rescue teams thoroughly searched the river and surrounding areas. The search lasted for 6 days before it was assumed that Morgan must have drowned. Now, his body has never turned up, and there was no trace that he was still alive after June 2nd, 2015. Number 6. Chiricahua National Monument. On January 13th, 1980, Ranger Paul Fugate disappeared from what should have been a routine hike in Arizona's Chiricahua National Monument. Paul, who was last seen heading out to do a trail trek around 2 p.m., told a coworker that they could start closing duties without him if he wasn't back by 4:30 p.m. He was then seen starting down the trailhead, and that was the last any person spoke to him or saw him. His girlfriend alerted authorities, who undertook a search for him. They first assumed that he had been a victim of an accident and was injured or stranded in the backcountry. However, as the investigation continued and no traces were found, suspicions began to arise. No trace of Paul has ever been found since that day in 1980. Now, to make things even more difficult, Chiricahua has 17 square miles of canyons, treacherous terrain, and wildlands. Now, the search and rescue teams found absolutely nothing related to the park ranger. Number 5. Nahanni National Park Reserve. Now, this is a strange case. Over the decades, many unfortunate travelers and explorers have gone missing, or they turned up dead and beheaded in the Nahanni Valley. Now, the number of decapitated bodies found within the Nahanni Valley have earned it the nickname Valley of Headless Men. In 1917, Martin Jorgensen's body was discovered decapitated next to the remains of his cabin as it was burned to the ground. It is suspected that he struck gold in the vicinity as he wrote of it back home before ending up beheaded. Then in 1931, another body was found. This time it was that of Phil Powers. His charred remains were discovered in ashes of what were his cabin. The RCMP were quick to attribute his death to a faulty stovepipe, but their explanation was repeatedly debunked by various sources. Now, many others simply disappeared without a trace in the remote wilderness of the valley. In 1928, one prospector named Angus Hall ventured ahead of his party and was never seen again. Another pair of prospectors, Joe Mulholland and Bill Ipper, disappeared in 1936. Now, for many years they were searched for but were never found. The only thing discovered was their cabin, burnt down to the ground. Why are so many people going missing in this specific area, and why are their cabins being burnt down? Number 4. Mount Charleston in Humbolt Toyabe National Forest. Larry Jeffrey disappeared near the peak of a 12,000-foot Mount Charleston in Humbolt Toyabe National Forest. Now the search began immediately after the boy wandered away from his brothers, and within days the National Guard and a team of bloodhounds had joined the search. In a TV interview, David Paulies told reporter George Knapp that there were no predators afoot that day, and since the area they were in was pretty secluded, it's easy to rule out abduction by car. This boy just walked into oblivion, David said. Now when Jeffrey disappeared, he was wearing light clothing, and authorities were doubtful that he could survive the cold temperatures at night. Now searchers found and lost the trail a few times, and they discovered evidence that the boy had been eating insects and forged berries along the way. Overall, 1,000 people searched for 16 days but never found him. It appears that he just went poof, maybe into an alternate dimension. Perhaps. Number 3. Ozark National Park. In the 1940s, a girl named Catherine Van Alst went missing while camping at Ozark National Park with her family. She was barefoot and wearing only her swimsuit when she disappeared. Now searches were conducted high and low for the missing girl, but it wasn't until 6 days later that she was found. Now the catch, she was still barefoot, still in her swimsuit, and totally unharmed. She was alive. Now she'd also traveled over 30 miles and climbed 600 feet without getting a scratch on her. She wasn't even scared. Now no one, including her, has ever been able to explain it. Could she have gotten trapped in a portal and somehow made her way back to our world? That could be one explanation for sure. Number 2. Santa Fe National Forest. Santa Fe National Forest in New Mexico has bizarre wooden structures all throughout the forest. Now no one knows who made them or why. The structures range in size but have all been constructed out of fallen trees and limbs, with some reaching over 20 feet tall and dozens of feet in diameter. They don't seem to have a pattern as to their locations, they simply just appear. Now they do have a few things in common though. They resemble teepees, though no one can actually live inside them, and the Forest Service has no idea who is building them or why, but their response so far has been to dismantle any that are found. The destruction of these mystery structures is to eliminate the forest fire threat that they create. The Santa Fe National Park Service has issued a press release asking for any information about the mystery structures, and according to the release, these structures are prohibited under federal law and violators could face a fine up to $5,000 and possible imprisonment for 6 months. Now does this have to do with cults? Can these structures transport you to another dimension? I guess we'll have to see. And coming in at number 1 is Green Mountain National Forest. The Vermont State Police exists because of Paula Jean Weldon. Now Paula Weldon was a student at Vermont's Bennington College and was familiar with the Green Mountain National Forest to the east of her college town. Now according to Bennington Banner, Paula set off for the trail on December 1st, 1946, telling her roommate, "I'm off for a long walk," and she was wearing relatively light clothing. Now she apparently hitchhiked to the trail with local Louis Knapp, who gave a ride to a young woman matching her description. He dropped her off near the trail, and the last known person to see her was a washman named Ernie Whiteman, who warned her about going into the cold landscape. Once it became clear that Paula had gone into the forest but hadn't left, a search was organized, but it was to no avail. Now Paula was actually one of 6 people who were reported missing near Bennington from 1945 to 1950. Now their still unsolved disappearances helped to earn the nickname of Bennington Triangle for the area.
Sit down and drive through McDonald's located in Samoa, also known as the most remote McDonald's in the world, sitting at an astounding 770 miles or about 4,600,000 feet from the next nearest franchise location. The restaurant, which is located inside a 150-year-old colonial mansion on the small island country, features a McGaiga meal that costs 38 pounds, about $65 Canadian, and consists of 2 Big Mac medium meals, 2 Quarter Pounder small meals, 2 deluxe cheeseburgers, and 2 8-piece McNuggets. Honestly, not a bad deal. You might think it difficult to sustain the franchise on such a small island, but the reality is quite the opposite in fact. Locals and tourists alike rejoice in the little slice of processed heaven and have kept the business booming since its opening in 2000. The restaurant is also a notable hotspot for the island's rugby team, with players enjoying the fast food delights so much that they were actually banned from partaking in such delicacies while competing overseas, as their coach feared their inevitable overindulgence would ruin their chances chances at winning the World Cup. Next up, we have the Arizona Aqua Arch Beauty located in Sedona, Arizona. While it might not be banned, you just might miss it, as when the restaurant was constructed in 1993 just off of Route 98A, its existence was contingent on the fact that the restaurant blended seamlessly with the natural beauty of the 48th state. While at first this was a bit of a turnoff for developers, the collaboration with the state's city council and planning and zoning commissions actually turned out to be a quite lucrative one. The restaurant became yet another reason for tourists to make their way to the Sandy State, and those who were already there just had to check out this one-off, off-colored location and lay their eyes on the blue-green arches they had heard so much about before heading off on their next adventure. And that brings us to our next location, in New Mexico. Fun fact, while New Mexico is well known for being a hotbed for extraterrestrial action and activity, it is also home to one of the most out-of-this-world McDonald's locations known to man. And possibly others? In case you haven't guessed by now, this McDonald's was built in the shape of a giant, unidentified flying object, or extraterrestrial spaceship, if you will. The UFO-shaped McDonald's graced the sunny state of New Mexico around 2011 and quickly became one of the coolest locations to date and a huge tourist hotspot for Big Mac hoppers and alien enthusiasts alike. With its bright red lights and glowing golden arches, who knows what kind of creatures this thing attracts. Now, it might not be banned, but it does look like it has the opportunity to blast off into hyperspace, so if you were looking for an excuse to visit, well, there it is. Speaking of oddly shaped places to enjoy a nice hot meal served to you in a cardboard box, we have the plane-shaped McDonald's located in New Zealand. Well, it's not just plane-shaped, it's actually a decommissioned Douglas DC-3 aircraft, complete with an intact cockpit. While you can't actually order food from inside of the Big M emblem adorned airliner, you can grab your food from the counters located in the more traditional restaurant next door, and then bring them over to enjoy an experience like never before. That's right, I'm talking about eating microwave food on an airplane. To be honest, I'm not quite sure how either airlines or fast food restaurants cook their food, but what I do know is that Douglas DC-3 has a fully refurbished interior, complete with big comfy red chairs and shiny metal tables, creating a dining experience like no other that can accommodate up to 20 patrons at a time. What's the coolest McDonald's you've ever been to? Let us know in the comments. Have you ever tried to go through a drive-thru without a car? Oh, yeah, me neither. Well, if you ever wanted to, this next location is the place to do it, as cars are strictly banned from this ski-through McDonald's located in Lidvallen Ski Resort, about 200 miles northwest of Stockholm in Sweden. Also known as McSki, the newly popular location has actually been around since about 1966, if you can believe it, and has been a staple for skiers and snowboarders alike. With McDonald's complete classic menu available for order, this pick-me-up pit stop is truly like no other, and as hitting the slopes can work up quite an appetite, I truly can't think of a better way to satisfy your hunger without cutting too much into your adrenaline-chasing chill time. McDonald's is best known for being a quick spot that doesn't break the bank. But have you ever heard of a McDonald's that was a bank? Well, if you haven't, you're about to. With one user on TripAdvisor referring to it as the classiest McDonald's in the world, this one-off variation is located in, bear with me, Kristiansand, Norway. While there is not much information of this particular franchise location to be found online, it is open to the public and boasts a classic McDonald's menu, as well as a few more items specific to McDonald's in Norway, such as the home-style juicy burger, pasta salad with chicken or ham, hot wings, oatmeal with raisins, the chicken premier burger, and something called a McToast. Because of its location, we of course have to assume that at one point many areas within the walls of what is now a cool place for a quick bite were strictly banned from the public, given that the restaurant once contained safes and vaults full of copious amounts of cash. Next on the list we have a McDonald's, an extremely popular mega capitalist McDonald's, laughably and ironically located directly outside the entrance to the Museum of Communism located in Czechia, Prague. Now, honestly, in this instance, I'm surprised it wasn't banned from ever being open there in the first place. But it seems the Prager people have quite the sense of humor, as there is an ad posted outside of the museum that reads, "Museum of Communism," above the casino, right next to the McDonald's. So I guess they really are above capitalism. The McBarge, as it was once known, is next on the list. This creepily eerie and now abandoned location was once the forefront of innovation for the franchise when the floating restaurant was opened in 1980. 1986, it was a place for sea dwellers and land lovers alike to indulge in what seems to be everyone's common ground: cheap food and good scenery. However, the magic of the marina-based Maiden didn't last long, as only 5 years after, in 1991, the new owner of the grounds forced the boat to depart from the docks, making it rather difficult to keep the business booming. Since the McBarge's departure from the McDocks of Vancouver, it has been anchored and abandoned just near British Columbia. Since then, many people have been going out to see this abandoned national treasure, and there has even been some public interest in refurbishing and reopening the restaurant as well. Believe it or not, New Mexico wasn't actually the first place to have a space-themed establishment. The OG extraterrestrial spacecraft turned restaurant was actually located in Alconbury, Cambridge in England, and was built in 1990 and converted into a McDonald's shortly after in 1993. But much like the McBarge, the adventure was short-lived, as it shut down just 7 years later in the year 2000. The UFO-inspired structure, adorned with the golden arches we all know and love, was, at the time, the definition of space-aged architecture. The restaurant showcased a computerized ordering system and a drive-thru that often queued all the way out into the main road. A former employee by the name of David Meredith described the restaurant as having a gloomy atmosphere, saying that although it was space-age, the lights were dim, and whoever had crafted the structure, it seems, had forgotten to add windows. While this location is not necessarily banned, it is unable to be reached by the public, or anyone else for that matter, as it was sadly demolished in 2008 after having been abandoned since its closure just 8 years prior. And that brings us to our final location in the infamous Guantanamo Bay, an area best known for being home to the largest detention camp under the control of the United States and the United States military. Since 2002, roughly 780 detainees have been held at the center. However, in a report released in 2023, it seems that number has since dwindled to just 30 persons who are still being kept within its walls. To enter Guantanamo Bay would require area clearance and a special kind of government-issued passport. So you might be wondering, how did a McDonald's end up there, and why? Well, the only McDonald's in Cuba opened in 1986 and has since been a staple of home to the military personnel residing there while working for the US government. And as long as the US continues to exercise its jurisdiction and control over the Bay Area, I'm guessing it's here to stay. Now, while it's no secret that American soldiers tend to enjoy some McDonald's every now and then, it appears the prisoners living on the base might too, as there have been rumors of inmates being offered Happy Meals in exchange for their cooperation. Of course, this area is completely banned to members of the public, so don't be expecting to indulge in any Big Macs or Happy Meals the next time you hit up Cuba.
Dreams. One theory with dreams is that we are visiting other realities while we sleep. Dreaming has always been a confusing topic for scientists and theorists because we have never gotten a guaranteed correct answer as to what exactly dreams are or why we even get them. One of the bigger theories surrounding dreams is that when we are dreaming, we are actually getting a glimpse into multiple parallel universes and what's happening there. By dreaming, we get to know what other versions of ourselves are doing in their respective universes. So yes, unfortunately, one time you did go to school naked. Sorry. Psychologists think that during dreams we turn information into multi-dimensional design based on our consciousness. Some believe that dreams are a way of our other selves reaching out to us and communicating with us, and it's an interesting theory because you have to take into consideration lucid dreaming and how some people have claimed to go to different realms while dreaming. Now, perhaps there exists advanced technology in other universes that allow people to reach out to their other selves. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I kinda believe this. I've had dreams where I go through my day as normal, and then the next day when I wake up, everything that happened in my dream happens in real life. Is that another version of me trying to warn myself of future events? Who knows, but it is trippy. Number 9. Black holes. Now, some people think black holes are actually portals to other dimensions. This theory was originally put forward by Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking believed that black holes are actually portals to another dimension or parallel universe, and that anything that gets sucked into a black hole is actually transported to the other dimension. It has already been scientifically proven that black holes have 2 openings, so it is pretty plausible to assume that whatever's at the other end might just be a separate reality. Either way, I think we should test it out and see if it really is. And guess what? I volunteer as tribute. Number 8. the cosmic bruise. In 2017, scientists at Durham University discovered a weird cold spot in our universe. This cold spot is sometimes referred to as a bruise, and the scientists who discovered it believe that it might have come into existence after our universe collided with another and created an astronomical catastrophe. A controversial claim by Laura Mershini-Houghton is that it could be an imprint of another universe beyond our own, caused by quantum entanglement between universes before they were separated by cosmetic inflation. Laura said standard cosmology cannot explain such a giant cosmic hole and made the hypothesis that the cold spot is the unmistakable imprint of another universe beyond the edge of our own. If true, this provides the first empirical evidence for a parallel universe, though theoretical models of parallel universes existed previously. It would also support string theory. The team claims that there are testable consequences for its theory. If the parallel universe theory is true, there will be a similar void in the celestial sphere's opposite hemisphere. What could come as a bigger surprise since then, though, a few other cold spots have turned up. So if what those guys at Durham University are saying is true, then our universe has collided with not one, but multiple universes. This is the biggest piece of evidence pointing to the existence of multiple alternate realities or parallel universes. Number 7. Deja Vu. No, not the Olivia Rodrigo song, though it's a bop, but the actual experience of deja vu. Deja vu is French for already seen. It's the phenomena of feeling as though one has lived through the present situation before. It is an illusion of memory where, despite a strong sense of recollection, the time, place, and context of the previous experience are uncertain or impossible. Approximately 2/3 of surveyed populations report experiencing deja vu at least once in their lifetimes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I experience deja vu pretty often, and it can sometimes be terrifying. Now, there is no scientific explanation to this, but one theory has led many to believe that deja vu occurs when you do something in sync with your counterparts from other dimensions. For example, a person getting deja vu while getting coffee might be due to their alternate universe self getting coffee at the same time as well. It's both cool and creepy, and to be honest, this makes a lot of sense to me. Number 6. Time travel. Yes, time travel could take us to parallel universes. Time travel is the hypothetical activity of traveling into the past or future, but I truly think it's real. Why? Well, for some proof, there are a lot of celebrities who seem to look exactly like past historical figures. Take Anne Hathaway and her husband, Adam Schulman. They are just the tip of the iceberg. Now, everyone's heard of William Shakespeare, but what you probably don't know about the famous English playwright is that he had a wife named Anne Hathaway. But that's not the scary part. Adam looks exactly like William Shakespeare. Perhaps him and his wife came back for some unfinished business and to provide the world with more art. Everyone on the internet believes this, as people have said they came back for each other, eternal lovers, and history hath a way of repeating itself. Get it? Wink, wink, nudge. Yeah? No? Okay. And one fan claims Shakespeare made a deal with his wife. I get to be famous in this life, and you get to be famous in the next. I truly do believe this. The resemblance is uncanny. There's so many other celebrities as well, so it seems like people wanted to come back to Earth as other people, or they were born as the wrong person in our universe. Number 5. The multiverse. Yes, the multiverse is a real thing, and it wasn't just created for the MCU. The multiverse is a hypothetical set of all universes. Together, these universes are presumed to comprise of everything that exists, the entirety of space, time, matter, energy, information, and the physical laws and constants that describe them. The different universes within the multiverse are called parallel universes. One common assumption is that the multiverse is a patchwork quilt of separate universes, all bound by the same laws of physics. The concept of multiple universes, or a multiverse, has been discussed throughout history, with origins in ancient Greek philosophy. It has evolved over time and has been debated in various fields, including cosmology, physics, and philosophy. Although some scientists have analyzed data in search of evidence for other universes, no statistically significant evidence has ever been found, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The anthropic principle suggests that the existence of a multitude of universes, each with different physical laws, laws could explain the fine-tuning of our own universe for conscious life. Number 4. The Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is an observed phenomenon in which a large segment of the population misremembers a significant event or shares a memory of an event that did not actually occur. Fiona Broom, a paranormal researcher, coined the term to describe collective false memory when she discovered that a significant number of people at a conference she was attending in 2010 shared her memory that Nelson Mandela died in prison during the 1980s. In fact, the former president of South Africa was released from prison in 1990 and was very much alive at the time of the conference. This has caused an uproar on the internet, with people discussing their experiences. Specific examples include the quote from the Snow White fairy tale, which most people believe say mirror mirror on the wall, but is actually magic mirror on the wall. The Star Wars movies encounter a similar circumstance with the quote, "Luke, I am your father." The real line reads though, "No, I am your father." Furthermore, many people collectively have false memories of how the Berenstain Bears book series title is spelt. Most people remember the name as Berenstain Bears using an E instead of the correct A in the last part of the name. But it was an E, I swear. Similarly, many people believe the name of the popular hot dog brand, Oscar Mayer, is spelled Oscar Mayer using an E in the last name instead of the proper A. It's said for the people who remember things incorrectly were in a different universe and then somehow got transferred to this universe. I don't know, but the Mandela Effect is extremely real and scary. Number 3. Glitches in the Matrix. What is this? Well, some people believe that we live in a simulation that is controlled by other people in a different universe, a parallel universe. These glitches are events that seem comparable to the effects of errors in computer programs or their execution. Some examples of these include objects vanishing and sometimes reappearing, people being seen by different witnesses at different locations at the same time, or not being seen in places where they should be, aka people vanishing, often for considerable amount of times, often with multiple searches, then reappearing and claiming they never left the spot. Changes in everyday familiar objects, and time slips and time freezes, where people interact with different time periods, or where they observe all movement and noises cease over a relatively short or larger area. Some glitches have even been caught on camera. Now, the idea that we are just test subjects and they control everything terrifies me, and if you guys were listening, I would love it if you could add $1 million to my bank account, please. Number 2. Real experiences. There are real stories of people experiencing themselves seemingly switching universes. One online user told this story, "It's been about a week and I am still trying to wrap my head around the fact that I might have died in another timeline and just jumped to this one." Background: I was driving down PCH, a very long highway up the coast of California, at 8:15 p.m. exactly. And I know this because I called my mom to let her know I was stopping to watch the sunset. As I'm watching the sunset, I hear a car's horn blaring. I turn around and see a car coming straight towards my car and myself, and then suddenly I'm sitting on the ground. Very confused, a headache is starting to come on, but I wasn't hit. My car wasn't hit and I'm still breathing. Obviously freaked out, I get back up and check my phone to call my mom because this is just crazy, and I notice it's 8:13 p.m. I checked my phone to see if I actually did call her, but there's no history of it. I shake the nerves off and decide to just get home quickly, thinking maybe that was foreshadowing an event I did not want to relive. Once I'm home, my mom asked me why I called her and just hung up. I asked what time, she said 8:15 p.m. There's still no history of me calling her on my phone. Am I crazy, or did I just jump timelines? And guess what, people? There are thousands of stories just like this. It can't be a coincidence, can it? And coming in at number 1, we've created our own universe. Yep. You heard that right. In 2013, researchers at the University of Maryland, College Park, and Towson University had reported that they created multiple universes inside a laboratory-created multiverse. The researchers created a metamaterial like those used in fashion invisibility cloaks that, when light passes through it, multiple universes are formed within it. These universes, called Minkowski spacetimes, are similar to our own, except they more neatly tie up Einstein's theory of special relativity by including time as a fourth dimension. While this is rather extraordinary, the experimental setup is actually quite simple, though definitely rather unconventional. The multiverse is created inside a solution of Colbit and kerosene. So yeah, we made our own universe, thus proving there are parallel universes.
If you enjoyed this video about glitches in the Matrix, then you have to check out this video next. It's about Bigfoot encounters that will leave you shaken. Click the video now to find out more about this incredible video. See you guys there.